Machine Learning and AI Team Leader. Okay, I'll put your time on there.
Cool. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? Excited to be here? All right, I really like the conversation around using AI to actually strategize marketing techniques rather than actually taking over the production. I think that's a really good initiative that the industry is moving towards. But okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arjun. I am Ryff's AI team lead, and today I'm here to talk to you about AI-driven authenticity in advertising. So when I mention, for example, Nike, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Often, you might imagine someone overcoming large obstacles and accompanied by the iconic words, "Just do it." What happens when I say Coca-Cola? Maybe you think of sharing a cold Coke with your friends at a lively party. And how many of you envision going to like a sunny beach, right? These aren't just random associations. They're crafted by some of the most memorable advertising campaigns of our time. And if we reflect on these iconic campaigns, we notice a very powerful common thread. These brands have achieved more than just selling products. They've woven their core values into the very fabric of our daily lives, creating a deep, resonant connection with their audiences. The global advertising industry almost spends £600 million on ads per year. We know that on average, a 30-second daytime television ad costs £1,000 to broadcast. And despite this, we know that our consumers are less engaged than ever. Whenever a television ad comes on, 80% of viewers skip the ad, change the channel, or leave the room entirely. As we moved into the 21st century, our advertising landscape is becoming more cluttered and invasive. Consumers today see more ads than ever before, and ads are everywhere. They're of arguably poor quality, and they struggle to engage us meaningfully. The strategy of overwhelming our consumers with the sheer volume has led to viewer dropout and what the industry calls ad fatigue. This approach not only dilutes the impact of each ad, but also feels intrusive and inauthentic. It's too much, and we feel that it's too often. How can we, as an industry, move away from this invasive model to one that fosters genuine human connections and resonates on a deeper level? So, given the shortcomings of digital ads, we see a renewed interest in a more integrated advertising strategy such as product placement. And by integrating products into the narrative of films and TVs, product placement offers a semblance of authenticity that digital ads simply lack. So when done well, we can see that product placements become an integral part of a character and also can enrich the character's growth and development through the show. However, when done poorly, for example, in World War Z, the climax of the movie, Brad Pitt's character finds a cure to save humanity from the zombies. And in this very intense moment, he stops to drink a cold can of Pepsi. This product placement felt forced and I think pulled the audiences away from the climax of the narrative and was a very blunt reminder to the commercial interest at play. So traditionally, product placement involves manually integrating products into scenes, a method that while aiming to inject authenticity, often lacks scalability and flexibility. Once a product is placed, the product is permanent and unchangeable, unable to be tailored for different regional markets or be adapted to viewer feedback. This inflexibility results in the same placement being used and viewed by all audiences, regardless of the unique context. And I think this misses opportunities for targeted engagement. So with these challenges in mind, recent advancements in AI have the potential to radically transform placements, how placements are executed. We can now digitally insert ads through 3D rendered models, and this offers unprecedented flexibility in terms of how ads are created. It can be done post-production and changed and adapt from viewer feedback and adapt to viewer demographics. So we can also insert and create opportunities where none existed. So we can 3D generate billboards and introduce completely new opportunities. So for example, maybe next year, MadFest can advertise using our digital billboards. So we spoke a lot about authenticity in the previous talks, and I think authenticity is today's most sought-after trait. When something isn't perceived as authentic, we often disengage, and product placement, though it tries to inject authenticity by integrating products into the narrative, it has its limitations. And with AI and its capability to analyze vast amounts of behavioral and emotional data, it enables us to craft more authentic ads and place them in more appropriate locations. And these ads not only fit seamlessly into the context, but due to the amount of data that they can process, they resonate on an emotional level. So this brings us to scene intelligence, and scene intelligence is Ryff's AI technology designed to not just understand placement, but also the context, ensuring that every product that's placed is not only seen, but felt and remembered. There are 4 key steps in scene intelligence that we take to ensure a good fit between an ad and a piece of content. And the very first task of scene intelligence is called continuity clustering, right? And in this stage of our pipeline, we start by defining a scene as a cluster of shots that occur in the same place. So through scene intelligent clustering mechanisms and semantic understanding of the scene, we cluster shots that take place in the same location into what we term a VPO, which is a virtual product placement opportunity. And this is a critical step in maintaining continuity, and it's a fundamental requirement to ensure that the authenticity of any advertisement. Continuity here means that if a product appears, for example, in Friends at Central Perk, means that it should logically appear in subsequent shots of the cafe. This prevents any disruptions in the viewer's immersion and avoids situations where a product might pop in and out of nowhere. This continuity sets the stage for precise virtual product placement. Next, scene intelligence meticulously analyzes the setting of each scene, whether it's an urban cityscape, a cozy living room, or a bustling cafe. The AI understands the physical context deeply. It looks at how objects interact with each other. For instance, if we're in a family dinner, this intelligence helps us identify opportunities for placing products such as specific brands of tableware or drinks that might naturally fit into the kind of meal that's being shared, right? And then next, the AI evaluates the scene context in the broader narrative of the scene or the movie or the episode, and it assesses whether the added product would make more sense in the storyline's progression, ensuring narrative coherence. Scene intelligence then employs a set of authenticity metrics using machine learning and evaluates how the insertion of the product will mesh into the scene. These metrics internally include visual harmony, narrative consistency, and it makes sure that the product meshes with the lifestyle of the characters that are involved. Lastly, our pipeline automates the insertion of the product into an optimal scene using data-driven decisions, eliminating human bias and error. And it's also able to learn from user feedback, how the performance of the insertion and other emerging data inputs, improving its accuracy and effectiveness over time. So that was a lot of explanation. Let me try to break this down with an example. So if you know the scene from Goonies, it's an iconic scene, the opening scene, and if we wanted to say, analyze the scene using our scene intelligence pipeline, what would happen is we would the first step would be scene analysis, and actually the first sub-step within scene analysis would be to try and understand the objects in the scene. So we gain a basic understanding of what objects are in the scene, then we identify who's in the scene, and then we try and understand the relationship between these objects. By analyzing not just the single frame, but the entire video of the scene, we gain an understanding that there's a plumber who's fixing the sink, a kid who's helping the plumber, and that this is a kitchen scene in a daytime environment. Next, we conduct what's known as planar analysis, and what this does is identifies surfaces, which could be both flat and horizontal surfaces. We try and understand where we can actually place our objects. Here we've identified 2 surfaces, the countertop and the kitchen island. And then what we do is we figure out how much space is available. So it's a pixel-based calculation of how much space is actually available that we can use or sell. And then we understand how long it's available for, and we understand the prominence of the area. So prominence just means we look at attributes such as lighting, focus, distance from other humans, and the distance from the camera, because all these factors play into how prominent that area is perceived. Yeah, sorry. Right. So next, the last bit is the third prong of scene analysis is thematic analysis. And in thematic analysis, we take all of the information that we've gathered so far, and we come up with the conclusion that the emotion of the scene is comedic or humorous, and it's embedded in this movie that's a lighthearted film about childhood misadventures and experiences. And it also gains an understanding that the target audience of this scene would really be children and young adults, because those would be the most impressionable audience from the scene. Finally, we gain an understanding of, through authenticity evaluation, of what kind of products can be placed. So the pipeline is able to understand that it's able, in this scene, it would be appropriate and authentic to place food-related, homeware-related, kitchen-related products, and specifically products that are maybe targeted towards children and young adults. It's also able to place boundaries or compliance guardrails to prevent it from placing objects that would seem inauthentic. So things like alcohol, adult-oriented beverages, or even luxury goods. So these wouldn't make sense in the scene, and hence the AI adds compliance guardrails, preventing inappropriate objects to be placed in the scene by downstream tasks. So finally, I'll give you an example of what the scene might look like.
Huh? Has the water gone down, son? No. Gone down now?
So you might notice that the intelligence, we've actually inserted an ad of Cheerios in the scene, and the pipeline determined that this was an appropriate ad to insert at this point because it's targeted at children, it's appropriate, it's authentic, and since it's in a daytime kitchen scene, it makes sense to have a product like that in this scene. The other observation you might note is that it chose to put the object on the kitchen island rather than the kitchen counter. This is because from our analysis, the planar analysis that we conducted, we found that the kitchen island is actually a more prominent spot to place the Cheerios box. So at its core, scene intelligence helps us understand why things are placed, where they're placed. And this understanding can be leveraged to improve our current approach to product placement in a way that feels more impactful and authentic for our viewers. So when you go home tonight, or go back to your homes or hotels, try and look around your space and try and understand why objects are placed where they're placed. And the placement may affect how you feel about the space. And in addition, try to examine the position, the surrounding decor, the lighting, and how the room affects how you feel about certain products. And more importantly, try and understand how the product or the object that you're looking at affects the energy of the room, right? So it's not just about how the space makes you feel, but also about how the product makes the space feel. Ryff's AI platform aims to synthesize all of this information into an intuitive way that can translate into an understanding on screen. The applications of this technology are limitless, I think, and by gaining an understanding of the natural relationship between people and their spaces, we can make a better data-driven decision, enabling product placement to become more responsive and effortless while maintaining its authenticity. It has the potential to radically transform the way that we advertise in this industry. Thank you. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you guys around the conference. Thanks.